morning, students. See, in the last class we have studied the electrostatic potential. See, now we will going to study the capacitance. See, under the heading of capacitance, let us study the behavior of a metallic conductor under the external electric field. See, when a metallic conductor is placed in external electric field, there is a momentary flow of charges from one side of the plate to another side of the metal plate. Okay. See, once the flow of charges ceases, the conductor is said to be in electrostatic equilibrium. See, let us consider a metallic plate placed in external electric field. See, this is a metal plate placed in external electric field. See, suppose this is the metal plate A, B, C, D. See, this is the external electric field E. See, when the electric field is applied, the charges, particularly the negative charges, flows from the side BC of the conductor to the AD of the conductor. See, the negative charges flows from the side BC to side AD. See, these are the negative charges on the side AD, and these are the positive charges on the side BC. See the momentary flow of charges when the external electric field is applied. See, due to the separation of these charges, an electric field is induced inside the metallic conductor. This induced electric field is opposite to that of the external electric field. This is the external electric field. See, this is also the external electric field. See, the flow of charges continues till the induced electric field is equal to external electric field. So, therefore, the net electric field inside the metallic conductor is equal to, say, E external minus E induced. See, when the E external electric field is equal to E induced electric field, the momentary flow of charges ceases. So, and hence the electric intensity inside the metallic conductor is 0. So, this is the net electric intensity inside the metallic conductor. So, and hence now the metallic conductor is in electrostatic equilibrium. See, under the electrostatic equilibrium, we observe that the electric intensity inside the metallic conductor is 0. See, under the electrostatic equilibrium, the electric intensity, see the first one, the point number 1, see, under the electrostatic equilibrium, the electric intensity inside the metal plate is 0. See, the electric intensity inside the metal plate is 0. That is, E is equal to 0. So, therefore, the net electric field inside the metal plate is 0. See the next point, see, under the electrostatic equilibrium, the net charge inside the metal plate is also 0. See, the net charge inside the metal plate is 0. That is, Q is equal to 0. Okay. See the third point, the electric intensity at any point on the surface of the conductor or near the conductor is always perpendicular to the surface of the conductor. See, E is, the electric intensity E is perpendicular to the surface of the conductor. and the electric intensity near the conductor is given by E equal to sigma by epsilon naught, where sigma is the charge density, surface charge density. So, therefore, the electric intensity near the surface of the conductor is E equal to sigma by epsilon naught. And the fourth point is the electrostatic potential inside the metallic conductor is constant. See, the electrostatic potential inside the metal plate is constant and is equal to the potential at the surface of the metal plate. So, therefore, the electric potential throughout the volume of the conductor is constant and is equal to the potential at the surface of the conductor. So, therefore, when a metallic plate placed in external electric field, the metallic plate is under static equilibrium, is under electrostatic equilibrium. So, when the metal plate is in electrostatic equilibrium, the net electric intensity inside the metal plate is 0 and net charge inside the metal plate is 0. So, and the charges are distributed on the surface of the metallic conductor, and the electric intensity at any point on the surface of the conductor or near the conductor is given by E equal to sigma by epsilon naught, and the electrostatic potential inside the metallic conductor is constant and is equal to the electrostatic potential on the surface of the conductor. See, when a metallic conductor is uniformly charged, see, this is a metallic conductor charged with plus Q. So, charges are distributed on the surface of the metallic conductor. Electric intensity is perpendicular to the surface of the metallic conductor. See, this is electric intensity near the surface of the conductor. See, the electric intensity E is equal to sigma by epsilon naught. See, inside the conductor, the charge inside the conductor is equal to 0. Electric intensity inside the conductor is equal to 0 and potential is constant. See, inside the conductor, the potential is constant. See, now consider a metallic conductor with a cavity. See, suppose this is a metallic conductor with a cavity. See, this is the cavity of the conductor. Okay. See, now this is the electric intensity applied. See, this is electric intensity applied. See, these are the positive charges accumulated here and these are the negative charges. See, here the electric intensity is in this direction and here the electric intensity is in this direction. And here the sigma is greater than 0, here the sigma is less than 0, that is surface charge density here greater than 0. See, the electric intensity is in this direction. Okay. See, this is the cavity. This is the cavity. See, inside the cavity there are no charges present, so and hence Q equal to 0 and hence the electric intensity inside the cavity is 0, but the potential is constant. See, this is known as the electrostatic shielding. See, what is electrostatic shielding? See, electrostatic shielding. See, the electrostatic shielding is a phenomenon in which we can protect certain region of space from the influence of external electric field. So, we can protect the certain region of space from the external electric field. This phenomenon is called the electrostatic shielding. See, using the phenomenon of electrostatic shielding, we can protect the certain sensitive instrument from the influence of external electric field. See, so far we have studied the conductors placed in the external electric field. See, conductors are the materials which conduct heat and electricity since they contain large number of free electrons. See, now let us see dielectrics. See, what are dielectrics? See, dielectrics are the nothing but the insulators. They do not conduct heat and electricity. Since they do not contain the free electrons. So, electrons of dielectrics are tightly bound to the nucleus of the atom. So, therefore, they do not conduct heat and electricity. Okay. See, now let us study dielectrics. So, therefore, the dielectrics are the insulating materials. Okay. See, depending on the nature of molecule, we have two types of dielectric molecules, polar dielectric molecules and non-polar dielectric molecules. See, polar dielectric molecules. Polar dielectric molecules are simply the polar dielectrics, and second one, non-polar dielectrics. See, what are polar dielectrics? See, polar dielectrics are the dielectric molecules in which the centers of positive charges and the center of negative charges do not coincide each other with the center. See, the centers of positive charges do not coincide with the center of the negative charges. So, such a molecule is called the dielectric polar molecule. See, in case of polar molecules, the centers of negative charges and the center of positive charges do not coincide with each other. See, for example, in case of HCl, see, this is H and this is Cl. See, the center of negative charge and the center of positive charges separated by a small distance. Since there is a small distance between a negative charge and a positive charge, therefore, these polar dielectric molecules possess permanent electric dipole moment. This is the permanent electric dipole moment. This is HCl molecule. Okay. Similarly, in case of the water, H2O, in case of water also possess a dipole moment. See, permanent dipole moment. See, this is H, this is H, and this is O. So, H2O also possess the dipole moment. So, therefore, the polar dielectric molecules are the dielectric molecules in which the centers of positive charges do not coincide with the centers of negative charges. So, such a dielectric molecule is called the polar dielectric molecules or simply the polar dielectrics. So, therefore, the polar dielectric possess the permanent electric dipole moment. Okay. See the non-polar dielectric molecules. See, the non-polar dielectric molecules are the dielectric molecules in which the centers of positive charges coincide with the centers of negative charges. Such a dielectric molecule is called the non-polar dielectric molecules. See, in case of H2, see this is H2, this is H, and this is H. See, in which the centers of positive charges and centers of negative charges coincide each other. See, in case of CO2 also, CO2, the centers of positive charge and the negative charge coincide with each other. See, this is one, and this is another one molecule. See, this is O, this is O, this is O, this is O, this is C. Okay, see, this is CO2 is a non-polar dielectric molecule. So, in case of non-polar dielectric molecules, the centers of positive charges coincide with the centers of negative charges. So, and hence they do not have permanent electric dipole moments. Say these non-polar dielectric molecules do not have permanent electric dipole moments. See, whereas the polar dielectric molecules have permanent electric dipole moment. See, this is the electric dipole moment P or H2O. So, this is about the dielectric molecules, polar dielectric molecules and non-polar dielectric molecules. Okay. See, now suppose a conductor placed in external electric field. See, suppose this is a conductor placed in external electric field. Okay. See, this is the direction of the electric intensity. Okay. See, due to the application of electric intensity, negative charges and positive charges separated. Okay. See, this is plus sigma and this is minus sigma. See, this is the direction of the external electric field, and this is the direction of induced electric field. Okay. See, now the net electric field inside the conductor is equal to 0. See, the sum of external electric field and the induced electric field is equal to 0. Okay. So, and hence the conductor is in electrostatic equilibrium. See, now consider a dielectric. See, this is a dielectric material placed in external electric field. See, this is the direction of electric field E. Okay. See, this is dielectric. This is conductor. This is conductor. Okay. See, this is external electric field. See, this is also external electric field. See, this is the direction of external electric field. See that these are the negative charges and these are the positive charges. So, this is sigma plus and this is sigma minus, surface charge density. See, the induced electric field is opposite to the applied electric field. Now, the total electric field when a dielectric material placed in external electric field, the total electric field inside the dielectric is not equal to 0. See, E external plus E induced is not equal to 0. So, therefore, the presence of external electric field reduces the electric field inside the dielectric slab by an amount equal to E external minus E induced electric field. Okay. See, now let us consider a non-polar dielectric material placed in external electric field. See, this is non-polar dielectrics. See, in case of non-polar dielectric molecules, say this is the case with E is equal to 0, that is electric intensity is 0. See, when electric intensity is 0, the positive charges and the negative charges coincide with each other. See, in case of the non-polar molecules, dielectric molecules, the centers of positive charges and centers of negative charges coincide with each other. See, such a dielectric molecule is called the non-polar dielectric molecule. This is the case when E is equal to 0. See, similarly, consider the one more case in which the non-polar molecule with E is not equal to 0. When E is not equal to 0, the negative charges and the positive charges start to align in the direction of the applied electric field. See, these are the positive and negative charges separated due to the applied electric field. See, and the dipole moment is in the direction of the applied electric field. See, these are the non-polar dielectric molecules in the presence of external electric field. So, therefore, in the presence of external electric field, the non-polar dielectric molecules shows a dipole moment. Okay. See, now consider the polar dielectric molecules, polar dielectrics. The polar dielectrics with external electric field is 0. See, with E is equal to 0. See, when E is equal to 0, see what are polar dielectric molecules? The polar dielectric molecules are the dielectric molecules in which the centers of positive charges do not coincide with the centers of negative charges. See, the negative charges and positive charges. See, these are the polar dielectric molecules orient in a random direction in the absence of external electric field. They oriented in a different direction. Okay. See, this is in the absence of external electric field. See what happens in the presence of external electric field. See, this is the case with E is not equal to 0. See, in the presence of external electric field, the polar dielectric molecules align in the direction of the external electric field. See this alignment, the degree of alignment depends on the nature of the dielectric slab. See, this process of alignment of dipoles, whether the dipoles are polar dielectric molecules or non-polar dielectric molecules, in the direction of the applied electric field, this is called the dielectric polarization. See, let us consider polarization of dielectric. See, let us study the polarization of dielectric. See, let us consider an electric field E in which a dielectric slab is placed. See, this is the electric field. See, this is a positive plate and this is a negative plate. Okay. See, this is the dielectric slab placed in external electric field. See, whether the dielectric slab is polar or non-polar, now due to the presence of external electric field, all the dipoles are arranged in the direction of the external electric field. See, these are the dipoles, whether they are polar dielectric molecules or non-polar dielectric molecules, align themselves in the direction of the applied electric field. See, this, the process of the alignment of the dipoles in the direction of the applied electric field. See, this is the applied electric field. Okay. So, electric field is directed from the positive charge to negative charge. See, the electric field. See, due to the alignment of dipoles in the direction of the applied electric field, an induced electric field is set up inside the dielectric slab, which opposes the applied electric field. See, this is the external electric field. Okay. So, the induced electric field opposes the external electric field, and hence the electric field inside the dielectric slab is reduced by an amount. The E is equal to E external minus E induced electric field. So, see, due to the alignment of dipole, a layer of positive charges and a layer of negative charges is formed. See, this process of alignment of dipoles in the direction of the applied electric field is called the dielectric polarization. Okay. See, now what happens when the external electric field strength is increased? See, when the external electric field strength is increased, the dielectric breakdown occurs. and hence the dielectric becomes a conductor. See, the maximum applied electric field at which the dielectric breakdown occurs is called the dielectric strength of the dielectric material. See, what is dielectric strength? Dielectric strength of a dielectric material is defined as it is the maximum applied electric field above which the dielectric breakdown occurs. This is called the dielectric strength of a dielectric material. See, for example, in case of air, so air has a dielectric strength is equal to 3 into 10 power 6 volt per meter. This is the dielectric strength of air. See, let us study the capacitance of a conductor. See, capacitance of a conductor is defined as it is the ability of a conductor to store electric charges. It is called the capacitance of a conductor. Or capacitance of a conductor can also be defined as it is the ratio of charge given to the conductor to the potential of the conductor, so that we can raise the potential of the conductor by V volt. So, therefore, capacitance of a conductor, see, capacitance of a conductor is the ratio of, see, it is denoted by symbol C, is the ratio of charge to potential of the conductor. So, that is C is equal to Q by V. So, it is called the capacitance of a conductor. See, capacitance can be expressed in terms of farad. See, SI unit of capacitance is farad, denoted by capital F. See, what is 1 farad? 1 farad is the capacitance of a conductor is said to be 1 farad if 1 coulomb of charge given to the conductor to raise its potential by 1 volt. That is 1 coulomb per volt is called 1 farad. See, the farad seems to be a larger unit of capacitance. So, therefore, we can use microfarad, nanofarad, picofarad, etc. See, the smaller units of capacitance, see the smaller units of capacitance or microfarad. 1 microfarad equal to 10 power minus 6 farad. Similarly, 1 nanofarad is equal to 10 power minus 9 farad. 1 picofarad is equal to 10 power minus 12 farad. These are the smaller units of capacitance. Okay. See, let us find the capacitance of a spherical conductor. See, consider a uniformly charged spherical conductor. See, this is a uniformly charged spherical conductor of radius r. See, these are the charges distributed on the surface of the conductor, and this is the total charge plus Q. So, now the capacitance of the spherical conductor is equal to Q by V. See, where Q is the total charge on the surface of the conductor and V its potential. See, what is the potential on the surface of the spherical conductor? See, we know that the potential is V is equal to 1 over 4 pi epsilon into Q by R. Okay. Now, substitute the value of V in this equation. So, therefore, C is equal to Q divided by 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught into Q divided by R, or C is equal to 4 pi epsilon naught into R. See, this is the capacitance of a spherical conductor. See, this is a single conductor. Its capacitance is expressed in terms of the radius that is C is equal to 4 pi epsilon naught into R. Therefore, capacitance directly proportional to the radius of the spherical conductor. As the radius increases, the capacitance increases. See, suppose what is the radius of the spherical conductor? To have a capacitance equal to 1 farad. See, suppose R is equal to C divided by 4 pi epsilon naught. See, when C is equal to 1 farad by divided by 4 pi epsilon naught, see the value of 4 pi, 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught is 9 into 10 power 9. Okay. And the radius is expressed in terms of meter. So, therefore, the radius of the spherical conductor, to have a capacitance equal to 1 farad, we have the radius R is equal to 9 into 10 power 9 meter. See, it is a very big radius. So, we cannot construct, it is highly impossible to construct such a big sphere in practice. So, therefore, a single sphere or a single conductor is not suitable for storing electric charges. So, therefore, in practice, we always consider the two metallic plates separated by a small distance. This is a good configuration for storing the electric charges. See, suppose this is one metallic conductor and this is another metallic conductor. See, these are the two metallic conductors. See, suppose these are the positive charges and these are the negative charges. This is one metal plate and this is another metal plate. So, therefore, this is a good configuration for storing electric charges. So, therefore, a capacitor is a device which is used to store electric charges, which consists two metal plates separated by a small distance. So, therefore, capacitor, see what is a capacitor? Capacitor is a device which is used to store electric charges. So, using capacitor we can store the electric charges. A capacitor has two metal plates separated by a small distance. See, capacitance of a capacitor is defined as, see, capacitance of a capacitor is the ratio of charge given to the capacitor to raise its potential by V volt. This is called the capacitance of the capacitor. See, SI unit of capacitance is farad. So, capacitance of a capacitor is the ability of a capacitor to store electric charges. So, therefore, capacitor is a device which is used to store electric charges. See, in general, a capacitor has two metal plates separated by a small distance. See, now we will going to find out the expression for the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor. A parallel plate capacitor consists two metal plates separated by a small distance. See here, this is a metal plate 1. See, this is metal plate 1 and this is metal plate 2. See, the plate 1 carrying positive charges, plate 2 negative charges. See, the electric field is from positive charge to negative charge. This is the direction of electric field and this is the D, be the distance between the two plates. Okay, this is plate 2. See, this is the outer region 1 and this is the outer region 2. Okay. See the charge density, here the charge density is sigma plus, here the charge density is sigma minus. Okay. See, now the charge density of plate 1 is, see, surface charge density. It is surface charge density on plate 1 is sigma plus is equal to, see, this is plus Q divided by A. See, surface charge density on plate 2 is sigma minus is equal to minus Q by A. See, these are the surface charge densities on plate 1 and plate 2. So now we will going to find out the electric intensity in different regions. See, the electric intensity due to a uniformly charged plate is sigma by epsilon naught. See, the electric intensity due to a uniformly charged plate is sigma by 2 epsilon naught. It is sigma by 2 epsilon naught. So now, what is the electric intensity in the outer region 1? See, electric intensity in the outer region first is, see, E is due to, see, the electric intensity at this region is due to the positive charges and negative charges. So therefore, due to positive charges it is sigma by 2 epsilon naught, and due to negative charge it is minus sigma by 2 epsilon naught. So hence the electric intensity is 0. So here the net electric intensity in the outer region is 0. And similarly, the net electric intensity in the outer region second is also 0. See, the electric intensity in the outer region second is E is equal to, here it is also 2 epsilon naught, sigma by 2 epsilon naught minus sigma by 2 epsilon naught. See, E is equal to 0. So in the outer region first and in the outer region second, the electric intensity is, see, what is the electric intensity between the two plates of the capacitor? See, electric intensity in the region between the plates of capacitor is E is equal to it is sigma by 2 epsilon naught plus sigma by 2 epsilon naught is equal to what? Sigma by epsilon naught. See, it is in accordance with the application of Gauss laws. See, we have derived this equation E is equal to sigma by 2 epsilon naught for a plate, the electric intensity near a uniformly charged thin sheet of charge. So it is sigma by 2 epsilon naught. So therefore, E is equal to sigma by 2 epsilon naught plus sigma by 2 epsilon naught equal to what? Sigma by epsilon naught. See, this is the electric intensity in between the two plates of the capacitor. See, call this equation number 1. See, now what is the potential difference between the two plates of the capacitor? See, let V be the potential difference between the two plates of the capacitor. See, potential difference between the plates of capacitor is V is equal to E into D. See, V is equal to E into D. See, we know this relation, that is the relation between the electric intensity and the electric potential. See, we know that E is equal to dV by dr, or it is V by R. Simply it can be written as V by R or V by D here. Okay. So therefore the electric potential difference is equal to E into D. See, E is equal to what? Sigma by epsilon naught. See, V equal to sigma by epsilon naught into D. See, sigma is equal to what? See, charge per unit area. See, sigma is equal to, this is charge Q by epsilon naught into area into D. Okay. So call this equation number 2. Okay. Now the capacitance of a capacitor is given by, see, by the definition of capacitance, C is equal to Q by V. So now C is equal to, see, take it the capital Q, C is equal to Q by epsilon naught into A into D. See, V is equal to, see, C is equal to Q divided by, V is equal to what? Q divided by epsilon naught into A divided by D. See, this Q cancels, C is equal to epsilon naught A by D. See, this is the expression for capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor. Okay. So, what is the capacitance? C is equal to epsilon naught into A by D. So, this is the expression for the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor. See, the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor depends on the area of the plates. See, when the plate's area increases, see, this is the area of each plate. See, when the area of the plates increases, the capacitance increases. Similarly, capacitance depends on the distance between the two plates of the capacitor. See, as the distance increases, the capacitance decreases. See, similarly, the capacitance of a capacitor filled with a dielectric, then the capacitance is given by the equation epsilon r epsilon naught into A by D. So, therefore, capacitance also depends on the dielectric constant of the medium placed between the plates of the capacitor. Say, let us discuss the effect of dielectric on capacitance. Say, to discuss the effect of dielectric, let us consider a parallel plate capacitor filled with a dielectric. See, this is a parallel plate capacitor. See, this is a positive plate and this is a negative plate. See, this is the dielectric slab placed between the plates of the capacitor. Okay. See, the negative charges induced on one side and positive charges are induced on the other side. See, this is the external electric field applied. Okay. And this is induced electric field. See, this induced electric field reduces the applied electric field. See, so therefore, the E external electric field is equal to sigma external. See, this is charge density, sigma external surface charge density by epsilon naught. Similarly, E induced is equal to sigma induced. See, surface charge density due to induced charges by epsilon naught. And as the net electric field E is equal to E external minus E induced. See, E is equal to, see, E external is equal to sigma external by epsilon naught. Sigma external by epsilon naught minus sigma induced by epsilon naught. E is equal to, see, this can be written as E sigma external minus sigma induced divided by epsilon naught. Okay. See, call this equation number 1. See, now, what is the polarization of a dielectric? See, polarization of a dielectric is defined as the dipole moment per unit volume. See, this dipole moment per unit volume of the dielectric is called the polarization of dielectric. So, polarization of dielectric is equal to, see, the dipole moment per unit volume. See, the dipole moment is Q into D divided by the per unit volume. See, this is volume. See, Q is nothing but the induced charges sigma, the surface charge density due to induced charges into A into D divided by, see the volume A into D. See this A, D get cancels. Okay, now the polarization of the dielectric is equal to sigma induced. See now, substitute this equation 2 in equation 1. See now, the equation 1 can be written as E is equal to sigma external minus P. See, sigma induced can be written as P divided by epsilon naught. See, call this equation number 3. See, now, P, now the dielectric polarization P is directly proportional to the electric field E, or it can be written as P is equal to chi E into epsilon naught into E. See, chi E is called the dielectric susceptibility of the dielectric material, and epsilon naught is called the permittivity of free space or vacuum. So, therefore, equation number 3 becomes E is equal to sigma external minus P is equal to chi E epsilon naught into E divided by epsilon naught. See, cross multiply this, E into epsilon naught equal to, see sigma external, see here sigma external is equal to sigma external by epsilon naught. See, sigma external equal to E external into epsilon naught. See, it is E external into epsilon naught minus sigma E epsilon naught into E. Okay. See, take this term to the left side, E epsilon naught plus chi E epsilon naught into E is equal to E external into epsilon naught, or it is E epsilon naught into 1 plus chi E is equal to E external into epsilon naught. See, this can be written as, see this term is equal to epsilon, E into epsilon. Epsilon is equal to E external into epsilon naught. This is absolute permittivity. See, therefore, E is equal to E external divided by, see this is epsilon by epsilon naught. See this ratio epsilon by epsilon naught, see this ratio epsilon by epsilon naught is equal to K. This is called the dielectric constant of the medium. See, therefore, E is equal to E external divided by K. See, this is equation number 4. Okay. See, now the capacitance of a capacitor with the dielectric is epsilon A divided by D. Capacitance of the capacitor with air is equal to epsilon naught A divided by D. So, therefore, CD by CA is equal to C epsilon by epsilon naught. See here, what is epsilon by epsilon naught? Epsilon by epsilon naught is equal to what? K, dielectric constant. So, therefore, CD by CA is equal to K. So, therefore, the dielectric constant between the plates of the capacitor increases the capacitance of the capacitor. So, therefore, by inserting the dielectric medium between the plates of the capacitor, we can increase the capacitance of a capacitor. See, let us discuss the combination of capacitors. See, we can connect the capacitors in series and in parallel. See, let us discuss the first one, the series combination of capacitors. See, capacitors in series. See, capacitors in series. See, capacitors are said to be connected in series if they are connected end to end, such that the charge on each capacitor is same. See, let us consider two capacitors connected in series. See, this is a capacitor of capacitance C1. This is a capacitor of capacitance C2 connected end to end, such that charge on each capacitor is same. See, this is plus Q, this is minus q, this is plus q, and this is minus q. See, these are the positive charges and these are the negative charges. See, these are the positive charges on capacitor C1, these are the negative charges on C1. See, now this combination is connected to a battery through a plug key. See, this combination is called the series combination of capacitors. See, when the capacitors are connected in series, the charge on each capacitor is same, but potential difference across each capacitor is different. See here, the potential difference across C1 is V1, potential difference across C2 is V2. Let V be the potential difference across the combination. Then what is the total potential difference across the combination? See, total potential difference across the combination. See, it is the sum of potential difference across C1 and across C2. So, therefore, V is equal to V1 plus V2. Call this equation number 1. So, now V1, see, by the definition of capacitance, C is equal to Q by V, or it can be written as C1 is equal to Q by V1. See, it is Q by V1. So, charge by potential. So, therefore, similarly, C2 is equal to Q by V2, okay, or V1 is equal to Q by C1 and V2 is equal to Q by C2. So, now substitute these values of V1 and V2 in equation number 1. So, equation 1 becomes V is equal to, say, Q by C1 plus Q by C2, or it can be written as V is equal to Q into 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2. See, call this equation number 2. See, now this is the total potential difference across the combination. See, now this whole combination can be replaced by a single capacitor known as the effective capacitor. See, this is called the effective capacitor. See, the effective capacitor means it is the capacitance of the capacitor which produces the same effect as that produced by the combination of capacitors. So, therefore, it is called the effective capacitor. See, the effective capacitance of this capacitor is Cs. This is plus Q and this is minus Q. These are the positive charges, these are the negative charges. Okay. See, this is the potential difference V across the capacitor. Okay. So, this is called the effective capacitor. See, now what is the potential difference across the effective capacitance Cs? See, potential difference across the effective capacitance is Cs. See, V is equal to Q by Cs. See, V is equal to what? Q by Cs. Call this equation number 3. See, from equations 2 and 3. See, from equations 2 and 3. See, from equations 2 and 3, we can write Q by Cs is equal to Q into 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2. See, this Q cancels. So, therefore, 1 by Cs is equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2. See, this is the expression for effective capacitance of two capacitors connected in series. See here, the effective capacitance decreases when two or more capacitors connected in series. See, this equation can be written as Cs equal to C1 C2 by C1 plus C2. See, if there are n number of capacitors, each of capacitance C connected in series, then the effective capacitance Cs equal to Cs 1 by Cs equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 plus etc. plus 1 by Cn. See, if C1, C2, C3 etc. is equal to C, then Cs equal to C by N. So, this is the effective capacitance of n number of capacitors, each of capacitance C connected in series. See, now let us discuss the parallel combination of capacitors. See, that is capacitors in parallel. See, capacitors in parallel. See, let us consider two capacitors are connected in parallel. Say this is a capacitor C1 and this is a capacitor C2 connected between two given points. Okay, therefore, the two capacitors are said to be connected in parallel. See, when the capacitors are connected between two given points, such a combination is called the parallel combination of capacitors. See, these two are in parallel. See, this is charge Q1 plus Q1, this is minus Q1. See, these are positive charges on the capacitor C1, these are the negative charges. See, this is plus Q2, this is minus Q2. So, these are the charges on C2. See, these are the negative charges on C2. Okay. This is capacitor C2. See, now this combination is connected to, see, now this combination is connected to a battery. See, this is a battery through a plug key. See, this is plug key, this is battery of potential V volt. Okay. See, this is called the parallel combination of capacitors. See, when the two or more capacitors connected in parallel, the potential difference across each capacitor is same. So, therefore, V and charge on each capacitor is different. So, therefore, the total charge in the combination is, see, what is the total charge? Total charge in the combination is Q is equal to Q1 plus Q2. Call this equation number 1. See, okay, what is the total charge in the combination? See, the total charge is Q1 plus Q2. See, when the capacitors are connected in parallel, charge on each capacitor is different and potential difference across each capacitor is same. So, therefore, Q is equal to Q1 plus Q2. See, by the definition of capacitance, C is equal to Q by V. See, here C1 is equal to Q1 by V and C2 is equal to Q2 by V, since V is constant. Q1 is equal to C1 into V and Q2 is equal to C2 into V. So, now substitute the values of Q1 and Q2 in equation 1. See, therefore, equation 1 becomes Q is equal to C1 into V plus C2 into V. Call this equation, see, equation number 2. See, this equation 2 can be written as Q is equal to V into C1 plus C2, equation number 3. Okay. So, now total charge in the combination is equal to V into C1 plus C2. See, now what is the effective capacitance? See, now let us draw one more diagram. See, suppose this is the effective capacitance of two capacitors connected in parallel. See, this capacitor is connected to a battery through a plug key. Okay. See, suppose this is the plug key. Okay, this is plug key, this is battery of potential V volt. See, this is positive plate of the capacitor and this is negative plate. This is plus Q and this is minus Q. See, this effective capacitor can be called as Cp. Cp is the effective capacitance of two capacitors connected in parallel. So, now the charge on the effective capacitor is, see, the charge on effective capacitor is Q equal to Cp into V. Okay. See, Q, the total charge on the effective capacitor. So, therefore, Q equal to Cp into V. Call this equation number 4. See, from equations 3 and 4. See, from equations 3 and 4, we can equate these two. So, therefore, Cp into V is equal to V into C1 plus C2. See, V cancels. So, Cp is equal to C1 plus C2. See, this is the effective capacitance of two capacitors connected in parallel. See, the effective capacitance increases when the capacitors are connected in parallel. See, if there are n number of capacitors, each of capacitance C1, C2, C3, etc., Cn connected in parallel, then the effective capacitance is, see, this is Cp, the effective capacitance is Cp is equal to C1 plus C2 plus C3 plus etc. plus Cn. See, if each capacitor has a capacitance equal to C, then Cp is equal to C into N. This is the effective capacitance of the n number of capacitors connected in parallel, each of capacitance equal to C. Okay. So, therefore, when the capacitors are connected in series, the charge on each capacitor is same, but the potential difference across each capacitor is different. And the effective capacitance decreases when the capacitors are connected in series. See, in case of parallel combination, when the capacitors are connected in parallel, the potential difference across each capacitor is same, but the charge on each capacitor is different and the effective capacitance increases. So, therefore, to have a capacitance, to have a small capacitance, we must connect the capacitors in series. To have a large capacitance, we must connect the capacitors in parallel. Okay. So, this is about the combination of capacitors. See, now we will going to study the energy stored in a charged capacitor. See, when a capacitor is charged, the electrical energy is stored in the form of the potential energy of the capacitor. So, let us find the expression for energy stored in a charged capacitor. Let us consider a capacitor of capacitance C connected to a potential difference of V volt. See, this is a capacitor, this is positive plate and this is negative plate. See, these are the positive charges on the plate, these are the negative charges on other plate. See, this is the potential difference between the plates, V volt. This is plug key. Okay, this is the potential difference V volt. See, now when you connect the capacitor to a potential difference of V volt, then the charges are transferred from one plate to another plate. Suppose the electrons transferred from this plate to this plate. See, now what is the work done in transferring a small quantity of charge dq from one plate to another plate? See, now the work done in transferring a small charge dq from one plate to another. The dw is equal to v into dq. So this is the work done, a small work done in transferring a small quantity of dq against the potential V volt. See, let C be the capacitance of the capacitor. See, call this equation number 1. Okay, now by the definition of capacitance, C is equal to what? Q by V. See, we can write the Q by V. So therefore V is equal to what? See, therefore V is equal to what? Q by C. Call this equation number 2. See, now substitute this value of Q in this equation 1. dW is equal to what? Q by C into dq. Call this equation number 3. See, this is the small work done in transferring a small charge dq against the potential difference of V volt. So now, what is the total work done in transferring the charge q from one plate to another plate? See, now the total work done is W is equal to integration from 0 to q dw. So dw is equal to what? Q by C into dq. So therefore, the total work done W equal to integration from 0 to q. See, dw is equal to what? Q by C into dq. See, this is Q by C into dq. See, capacitance of the capacitor. See, 1 by C into integration from 0 to q into dq. See, the integration of q is 1 by C into, this is q square by 2, limits from 0 to q. So therefore, work done is equal to 1 by C into, see, take this 2 outside, 1 by 2C into, this is q square minus 0, or this can be written as W is equal to 1 by 2C into q square. See, q equal to what? Q equal to C into V. See, the charge on capacitor is equal to Q equal to C into V. So therefore, work done is equal to 1 by 2C into Q equal to C square into V square. See, Q equal to CV and hence Q square equal to C square and V square. So therefore, W equal to half CV square. So this is the energy stored in the capacitor. See, this work done is stored as the potential energy of the capacitor. See, the energy supplied by the battery is equal to CV square, whereas the energy stored in the capacitor is half CV square. See, the amount of energy is wasted in the process of charging the capacitor. So, and hence only half of the energy is stored in the capacitor and the other half of the energy is wasted in the form of heat during the process of charging. So therefore, the energy stored in the capacitor is equal to half CV square. So now consider this equation, U is equal to half CV square, See here, C is equal to what? C is equal to capacitance epsilon naught A by D, and V is equal to what? V is equal to E into D. See, this is the relation between electric potential and electric intensity, E equal to V by D or V equal to E into D. Now, to substitute these values in the above equation, the energy equation becomes half into epsilon naught A by D into E square into D square. Okay, E square into D square. See, one time D get cancels. See, U is equal to half into epsilon naught into A into D into E square. See, what is A into D? See, A into D is the volume of the capacitor. See, A is area of each plate and D is distance between the plates of the capacitor. So, therefore, this is A into D is nothing but the volume of the capacitor. So, therefore, U is equal to half into epsilon naught into volume into E square, or it is U by V is equal to half epsilon naught into E square. See, this is called the energy density of the capacitor. See, this energy density is directly proportional to E square. So, therefore, energy density of capacitor is given by the equation of epsilon naught into E square. The energy density is directly proportional to square of the electric intensity. Okay, so, with this I will end up the capacitance, and let us discuss the important questions on the capacitance. See, in the case of capacitor, the definition of capacitance is very important, and then see, let us discuss the important questions on capacitance. See, the first one is what is electrostatic shielding. The next is what are dielectrics. See, what are polar and non-polar molecules. Give an example for each. Define dielectric polarization. Define dielectric strength of a dielectric material. Define capacitance of a capacitor. Define 1 farad. See, derive the expression for the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor. See, this is a very important question from the point of the theory examination. See, derive the expression for effective capacitance of two capacitors connected in series and in parallel. See, the derivation of the energy stored in the capacitor is also important. See, and finally, discuss the effect of dielectric on the capacitance of a capacitor. See, these are the important questions in the study of the capacitance of a capacitor.